right, so good to see you again. Another cute session, Champions Using Teams Effectively, with your host, Ricardo Wilkins, and Stacy's on her way once she finds her headset. And Ash is out on vacation today, and but we're all good. So glad to see people still popping in. As always, the chat's there for you for typing in questions, and then also coming off mute as well. Hopefully y'all can see my demo environment, show anything we need to. So I think we are good to go. So good to see everybody. Got our usual suspects here today, which is great. I will say last week we talked about that updates app. I am still Stacy and I are still trying to figure out a date for the GCC release of that. I haven't gotten that info yet, so hopefully more to come at some point on that. But that's just a follow up from last time. Let's see what else we got going on out there in Teams land. I think last week we talked about search and SharePoint. I mean, in Teams and SharePoint. So I don't know if there was follow-ups to that. I think that was our major topic from last week. But yeah, what's going on with folks these days? Any burning questions or thoughts? If not, can always chat things up a bit. Let's see. Any updates for the share to Teams? In terms of, yeah. So I think in a previous session we were, it was there but not quite working the way we expect. I know I did at least confirm with another customer they were having that same scenario, and I haven't looked at it lately. I see Stacy's joined us. I don't know, Stacy, if you've seen or heard anything about share to Teams getting better.
I haven't, but I've been a little out of pocket this week. Yeah. While we continue our discussion, I'd be happy to jump on and see if there's been any update to the issue that we circulated.
Oops. Pulling that up too. I'm guessing from the question, maybe at least on your side, it's still not quite working the way you would expect. That be the case? Yes. Okay. So yeah. So that's unfortunate.
And Melody, you guys opened a case, right? So you've been working through that. I guess you're just type in and let us know if your case is still active.
I unmuted. Sorry.
Oh, perfect.
I was taking a bite of food. I don't remember if we did or not, actually, because I know that you said you were finding out that it was more widely spread than just us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The other one, since I'm unmuted, and sorry for whoever I overspoke just a second ago, I'm wondering about the autocorrect or the suggestion when you misspell a word, right-clicking, that's still not working correctly for us, and I don't know if it actually just in the main Teams screen. It does if you pop the chat out, and it does work in conversations and channels.
You said so channels is where it doesn't work?
No, it doesn't work where, like, the main screen, I call it your main Teams instance. I don't know if that's the correct terminology for it, but like in your main screen where all your stuff is, and you use chat there.
Yeah, your Teams UI, like the desktop app, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and in looking at the message center, they're going to update it again. We have an actual incident reported. It's in the service health notes for your admins. And we're providing updates there on this particular issue. This issue is related to the right-click context menu not working as expected in the desktop app for Teams. And the current status, and I'll paste this into the chat so you can see it, but it says that the fix has been deployed to approximately 50% of affected service environments, and we're preparing the remaining deployment phases. So we anticipate the fix will be completely deployed by early next week, and we'll provide a more detailed timeline as it becomes available. And that was posted to the incident on the 14th, which was Tuesday, I believe. So we should be coming up on that Friday update, which hopefully will say that, yes, the whole fix will be complete by early next week. So I will paste that in the chat just so you guys have it, but it is related to that known issue that we're tracking for you in the admin center.
I think I see
The
a
one thing I
hand
was
up.
Ricardo, just
Go.
on the shared channel discussion, the workaround, I think we talked about it last time, is if you go post to a channel and, and then come back to Outlook and then you got to give it about a minute or two, but that channel will then show up as the, in your recent. And I've used that as a workaround. I just posted 2 letters in the channel.
Mm-hmm.
Posted the email to the channel, then I deleted that post, which is just a garbage post. So it goes away, but it sets that channel. That's the only way I've figured out to be able to actually post an email to a specific channel.
I'm hoping that's not the final implementation,
right,
of course.
Yeah. It's just a workaround that's worked for me.
Right.
The other workaround that I noticed when I was doing some documentation was I happened to go to a channel because somebody pinged me and app mentioned me and then read the message. And then I realized that if I go to a channel, read a message, and immediately go to Outlook, that will also show up in the recents. But if you go to another channel and read another message, then it's whatever one you read the most recently. So you can either post or read a message and then immediately go to Outlook.
Right.
So if somebody happens to have already posted something in there, then you're in luck because then you don't have to put in a garbage post.
Yeah. Interesting.
But I have found it quite useful because, I mean, let me just throw out kind of a workflow I had. Somebody had sent me an email with a list of things to kind of do, and I had pinned that email to the top of my Outlook so I wouldn't forget it, right? But it really, I had a team where I had a planner, and I really wanted to have all that stuff in the planner. So I just shared the email over to the team. So then I've got the source document, as a post in the team, as opposed to having it sitting, me losing an Outlook, like I always lose things in Outlook, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think to the point of, I think somebody said it in the chat or whatever, but yeah, the web version does seem to be working a little better as well. It's also an interesting feature just from the concept of, why we're using it, right? Either trying to take conversations out of our email inbox into Teams, or for the purpose of essentially an easy way of moving an email to Teams, either for continued conversation or maybe just for archiving, because it's one thing like the one I'm trying to do here. So if I share to Teams, this looks like it's small enough that it will, maybe not actually. When it's small enough, you get the whole text, you get all the text within the post. When it's large enough, then you, and maybe I can try it here. I'll just do channel 1. You get the download of the, I think EML or MSG, but the actual email file. And so I could then see that being useful, not just for trying to continue a conversation, but maybe you just want to, copy paste, for lack of a better word, that email and archive it in that team for some, purpose. Let me see if this worked. I think it was this one, or maybe it was channel 1. Yeah. And so, yes, this one looks like the download. Then, yep. So the email, I figured it was one of those email. Yep. So that message should now be, I think, in files. Yep. So I think, yep, that one there. So not only have I given myself or my team an opportunity to talk about it, but I've also taken this big email, and certainly our emails can get even larger than this one, and archived it here for, for whatever purpose. And, maybe somebody wants to start up a different conversation about it. And I think this includes even attachments. I think that was a checkbox as part of the share to teams. So again, an archive methodology as well. But that concept of trying to bring conversations or things from our email inbox in the teams is a very interesting one. Just this week, even was I noticed a team conversation that was happening in email. And in this case, I essentially just it's kind of funny. I just made the decision to not participate in the email thread and to put my reply in the team with an @ mention. That's key, because if your team conversation is happening in email, it may suggest that folks are having challenges kind of with teams. So that @ mention is really crucial to make sure they get the notification that conversation is happening. So that was my decision there, is to just say I'm gonna choose Teams here and hope that my example, I could be a role model here, and that maybe this conversation will shift over to Teams where it was really more appropriate, because these were all one sentence replies that people were doing in this email thread. So it's an interesting concept, and so it's nice to have this in our arsenal for Teams or Outlook to Teams as well as Teams to Outlook, because to me it's addressing that concept there, bringing the conversation where it's most appropriate, or shifting it to a different place. Just checking the chat here. Yeah, so you're helping force, in quotes, force adopting Teams first, right? Yeah. See, I think it's been very useful. Now, it'd be interesting in other methods you've used for that, right? Because there's certainly features to help us do that, but sometimes it's kind of social engineering to get that to happen, or evangelizing it amongst your team. Gentle nudges. To your point in the chat, I do like the force approach. I think sometimes you need that as well, but other times it can be more of a gentle nudge or reminder. In most cases, though, us as Teams fanatics and Teams evangelists, it involves a little effort on our part, right? Where, especially like those scenarios where you bring it over to Teams, but then go back to email to say, hey, I've posted this reply over in Teams, and give them a link to it. We're doing a little extra work, but it's all for the sake of that goal of getting everyone to a Teams first kind of culture. So kudos to everyone that is putting in that effort to change the culture. Yeah. Good stuff. You say previously you would respond to a person in chat that emailed you and say, responding to your email. Absolutely. In fact, I did the same thing when I replied to the email thread in Teams. I snipped a little bit of the email conversation. And I think I've shown this in the past. I've in a new chat, I will fire it up, snap a little bit of text. Let's say I just snapped this for whatever reason. I would come in here and Control V, and then use the highlight, or what is this, the quote, to put that in there. I usually make it italic, something like that, and then proceed to say what I was going to say, probably usually at the bottom. I think actually, this table is keeping me locked in. Hold on. Yeah, actually, it usually goes smoother than this, but then I'll proceed to say what I'm going to say. But I, quote whatever that's going on in email, so that they kind of know where I'm coming from. I don't just start talking, without any context. So, but yeah, that table there messed me up a little bit. So, yeah. Looking at chat here, our Learning Solutions does not have an email distribution on purpose so that people must come to Teams to get our attention, and then answers available to all who have the same question. Absolutely. I mean, we Teams fanatics know that's the better place, whether it's discoverability, whether it's the ease of reading, threads top to bottom instead of, in reverse. I mean, we know that's where the conversation, needs to be. So, yeah, sometimes just gotta, I don't know if I'd call it pull them kicking and screaming, but I don't know, maybe some of your teammates are kicking and screaming trying to stay in email. But yeah, whatever we can do to kind of bring that over. I usually like when, I mean, the more we do that, at some point it's going to click to folks that, yeah, this conversation did end up being nicer over in Teams than it would have been in email. Especially when it comes to bringing additional people into the conversation. Say if it's a one-on-one or a group chat, and then bringing someone in and adding all of the additional chat history, like I think I got one here. Bring someone in and giving them that option for including all the chat history. That's a lot nicer than trying to forward the best email thread that you can find from the conversation to another person to bring them in. It's, it's always going to be this branched experience. So looking at chat here. Yeah. And so there is a checkbox for Outlook Web related to share to team. So, okay, yeah, related to all the different actions that are available in here. And I guess that would be probably the customize. Yep. And then is it here on mine? Am I not seeing it? I don't see
in
it.
the settings under like organize or customize, and under the gear sprocket.
Oh, okay. So
Again, I just wrote training guide on this, so I knew exactly what
Yeah.
it was.
Oh, okay, there you go. And then there we go. Yep. So nice. And so I think that must then put it on my ribbon versus just the message. Is that right? So if I refresh, because I had it in a per message. Okay, so there it is there. And it's there as well. I guess maybe it pushed it up to a more prominent location there. Maybe that's what we're seeing. Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
always going to be there with the three dots, I think, Ricardo.
Right.
You click on the three dots, everything's there, or you get all of them. But
Yep.
when you do that customize, it pushes it up, so it's in the top part,
There you go.
visible
Yeah.
right there.
Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thanks. All right. I don't know if people have this as much need for sharing to Outlook. When I use that, it's mostly for myself. Because a lot of times the inbox is a good way from a task management perspective for me to work. So I will share to Outlook just because I want to see it in my inbox if I'm using my inbox kind of as a way to track what my next task, I want to work on may be. More often though, oops, that is actually what I wanted, but more often though, I am doing more actions and creating tasks. And in this case, it's using Planner. I'm usually doing mine right to do, but creating tasks is usually how I try to create an action for myself on a message or a reminder to myself on a message. And so then saving this off, and then I've got that in my to-do list. And I think that works as well in one-on-one chat. Let's see. Yeah. And the reason I bring that up is because typically your one-to-one chats or group chats, you don't get that copy link that you just saw over in the channel area. So I can't copy a unique URL from in this UI to that post in case this thing that Nestor said here was something specifically I want to follow up on. But when you create a task, this feature goes to the back door and actually gives me a URL there that the UI wouldn't normally give. And so, and in this case, I don't even have to copy paste it anywhere. I can just go ahead and create this task and get that link. And in fact, if I go ahead and do that here, then that should be over in my tasks somewhere, or is it just planner? There we go. And where'd that go? So is it? I don't know where that went. Would be assigned to me. Okay, so that's interesting. I don't know where that went. I should have kept track of where I put it. Let's see here. Is it this? Oh, okay. One more thing. There it is. So that's it. And of course, then this link here takes me right to the message. You saw it go yellow, that kind of thing. Oh, I've even used that to bring someone to the top of a group chat a group chat. So if I, create a task or grab the URL for this one here, it's going to bring me to the top of this message, and then people can read, going forward. So I'm a big user of URLs for like in OneNote and stuff to just keep track of my chats and whatnot. I know it's a little extra work, but I like it. And so yeah, if you're into grabbing URLs from different things in Teams and storing them elsewhere, that might be a nice tip for you. And I see in the chat about adding a chat with me in Teams in your signature, which I do as well. I don't know that well, I guess you could never know unless you ask, but I don't know if anybody's ever taken me up on that from my signature. But I certainly have it there. I have that as well as book a meeting with me. I have a little link for that too. So.
And Ricardo, that's a SIP address, right? That you use to point people there?
That's the way I do it, yeah. In fact, I should check because it may be different now. I know I originally started doing that as a SIP address, but I think I'm going to check here because I think it might have got it a little simpler.
Okay, good.
As for those wondering, that, I mean, by SIP address, it's like your you might have a friendly email name, but the actual back end email that would be associated with your chat might be different. And on mine, so yeah, oh well, it is SIP address. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I'm gonna copy paste this.
I just threw mine in the chat just so people could get an idea.
Yeah.
That's the SIP with a colon and then that official email address.
Yeah. What I was going to throw in, so mine actually looks like that.
Oh, nice.
So I feel like somewhere along the way, somebody kind of directed me to do it this way. And it does look like a lot, but it works. I think probably yours works probably as
simple
well.
Enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paste yours too.
It looks like Melody does hers same as mine.
Good.
So yeah, that's a good one. Because in theory, they click on that, fires up chat, right there, and they're good to go. So as we're talking about changing the culture, it's all about making it easier for folks to do the Teams piece, and that one click, start up a chat with me kind of thing is certainly going to help. I see. Yeah, Melody, you got your hand up.
Yeah, so I was just gonna kind of agreeing with exactly what you were saying, but my thought is too, even if they don't use it, hopefully they see it in my signature. So each time they see that, then they're kind of rethinking, maybe this time they'll send an email, but then maybe next time they see it, they'll go, oh, well, let me try to do this in chat instead.
Yeah.
And just putting it out there to kind of maybe like a subliminal suggestion, right? Because their brain is always kind of thinking, oh, well, maybe we could do this in chat when they see that.
Right.
If they even see it. I mean, I tried to not make it a very small part of my signature, but also not like the biggest part of my signature either. So
Yeah. And then the other approach that I heard about recently are folks that are adamant that they will not reply in email. Thou shalt send me a Teams text, or you will not get a response from me. That's a little extreme. I don't know if we're there yet culturally, but it works for you.
I mean, when I'm trying to drive adoption here, and I'm having these sessions with people, I tell them, chances are good that I'm going to miss your email.
Yeah.
I will not ignore a chat from you. I can't, because I'm in Teams all day long, and that notification is going to be staring me in the face. And at the end of the day, towards the end of my day, the last thing I do is check if I've got any active notifications that I haven't checked on.
Yeah.
And they don't go unanswered. And then guess what, too? Since I do have a work issued cell phone, if maybe I did check out and I happen to pick up my phone, which I don't usually once I've checked out, but if I do, or if someone calls me, it's going to go to my phone, and I'll probably grab it because it's probably important if it's after 5. If somebody probably needed something.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think, for those of us trying to in any way get to like a zero inbox, I think that's probably still easier in Teams today than email, where we're getting a lot. Well, it just depends, but I know I get a lot more email than I get Teams chatter, so it's easier for me like you said, at the end of the day, to make sure I've checked all the places where someone's mentioned me, than to go through all of my email to make sure I haven't missed something. So yeah, maybe not at the extreme, like I will not respond to you in email, but certainly letting them know, hey, if you really want a response, it's, for better or worse, it's going to happen better in Teams than an email. And then I guess maybe a last one here. I'm seeing a message from Glenn about the audio not being live when you start up a meeting, it seems like, which yeah, I'm not sure about that one. It may be a little glitch on your side. For me, it's working as expected. It mutes me when there's a lot of people in the meeting, and otherwise it doesn't. And of course, if I'm on a second device, that does start up off or muted.
Yeah, sorry, Ricardo, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I think perhaps checking the device settings in the pre-join to make sure that everything is lit up and respected from the devices before joining. I would be curious if it shows that the mic is muted and the speakers are muted in that pre-join screen. And also, if they do look green lit and ready to go and ready to use in your meeting, and then you land in your meeting and they're muted at that point, then click in devices there while you're joined and take a look at the device settings. And if they differ, yeah, Ricardo, thank you for showing that screen. If they differ from what you had in your join, I think it's a support issue. I cannot think of anything in the default meetings settings that would require you to start muted and then turn it back on. or policies, I should say. I don't think there's a meeting policy that would dictate that. So I'm thinking it's your device settings locally.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, we're at time. Great conversation as always. And so, yeah, we'll keep this rocking and rolling next week, and we will see you then. So glad you could join us, and we'll check you later. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out the blog for more content.